legendary Pokemon, being so powerful that they can control the weather, bend space and time, and even mold the universe itself. That must mean that they're all incredibly powerful in something as trivial as the competitive singles metagame, right? Well, not exactly. Unfortunately, there are some downright terrible legendary and mythical Pokemon, and today we'll be aiming to fix that. Hey guys, OG Albini here, and as many of you know, power creep is the single biggest problem in competitive singles Pokemon. Each coming generation, it seems like the Pokemon introduced get stronger and stronger, leaving the older, lesser Pokemon to languish in the background, never seeing the competitive light again. Because of this, I decided to make this series, in which I take some forgotten and unfortunately bad Pokemon that you all suggest to me in the comments, hint, suggest some more in the comments, thank you, and bring them up to speed so they can once again occupy a competitive niche. This series is therefore aptly called Fixing Your Favorites. We're going to start with Gen 1 and move our way down. And what better Pokemon to start with than the first objectively bad legendary Pokemon in Articuno. Articuno does have some solid things going for it. First off, the addition of heavy duty boots in Generation 8 made it worth fitting on teams if you so chose. Because let's be honest, even if Articuno was your absolute favorite Pokemon, it just wasn't forced the constant force defogs and rapid spins needed to keep it from losing half its HP to pointy stones. Might I add that said pointy stones are very common and very easy to get up multiple times throughout a game. Articuno also boasts a pretty solid stat spread. It has a decent enough speed stat in 85, as well as solid special attack in 95. Where it truly shines is its bulk, bolstering 90 HP, 100 defense, and a staggering 125 special defense. This, in conjunction with U-Turn and Roost, make Articuno a surprisingly solid special sponge. This is where the upsides end though. As we mentioned earlier, Ice and Flying isn't a typing that does Articuno many favors. Ice is notoriously bad defensively, and that isn't helped much by the secondary typing of Flying, giving it a nasty 4x Rock weakness, as well as all the other weaknesses Ice and Flying have. Heck, the added Flying type makes it to where you don't even resist Ice, making Ice quite literally useless as a defensive typing here. And while the aforementioned boots are a great addition for Articuno, it's also essentially required on it, really lowering its versatility. Finally, its move pool is pretty mediocre. Ice and Flying is solid enough offensively, but the combo really struggles with bulky steel types, and the rest of the move pool doesn't help it out much. Our first change to our Icy Bird friend is going to be giving it a brand new ability. We'll be dropping the largely useless Snow Cloak for an incredible ability in Ice Scales. Ice Scales is currently an ability exclusive to the Frostmoth line, and it doubles the special defense stat of the user of the ability. We just took Articuno's Spadef sponging capabilities and multiplied it tenfold. It can now function as one of, if not the best Spadef pivot in the entire game with the tools we mentioned earlier. Next up, we'll be adding both Earth Power and Chilling Water to Articuno's move pool. Earth Power is a great coverage option for Articuno, giving it a way to hit the aforementioned steel types it struggles with so heavily, as well as do a ton of damage to fire and rock types that may try to switch in and take advantage of it. Chilling Water is a pretty cool new move introduced in Scarlet and Violet that's pretty low in base power, just 50, but it has a nice added effect of lowering the target's attack by one stage. I figured this was a worthwhile option, as even if it's weak, water coverage is nice, and it makes sense thematically. Plus, it pseudo-boasts Articuno's weaker defense stat when used. Lastly, to give it a bit more oomph, we'll be adding plus 10 to its base special attack stat, allowing it to push past teams better offensively, making it a bit stronger in the current offensive metagame. Next, we jump down all the way to Gen 4 and talk about a Pokemon I'm pretty sure most of you forgot about, in Fion. Fion is in this weird limbo, where it's basically the pre-Evo to Manaphy, but it's not at the same time. It's basically just Manaphy, but much, much, much worse. We're going to try to buff it to a similar level of Type Null. Not broken, but a solid pre-Evo of a legendary. And yes, Type Null and Silvally are both classified as legends. I promise, I even looked it up. First off, we're going to make Fion the pre-Evo to Manaphy. This may not seem like a big deal, but it's actually a huge buff. This will now allow it to hold the Eviolite, bolstering its defenses quite considerably. This is especially great with Fion's amazing defensive typing in Pure Water. Next, we'll basically be directly upgrading its ability from Hydration to Natural Cure. Now, Rain doesn't have to be up to allow it to shrug off status and be a great status absorber. It just has to switch out now. This allows it to take Poison and Will-O-Wisps very reliably, as well as potentially annoying sleep moves. This also gives Fion the ability to have a pseudo-reliable recovery move and rest, as it can use the move and then switch out to immediately wake up, much like Shaman does from time to time. Then lastly, we'll be adding both Flip Turn and Calm Mind to its move pool. Flip Turn gives it two forms of momentum alongside U-Turn, making it a great pivot, and Calm Mind allows it to be a super annoying bulky setup sleeper alongside the possibility of Acid Armor as well. I won't be buffing the Fion's stats, as with an Eevee, it's basically just a more bulky Manaphy without Tentaclo. but I think these buffs bring it up to speed quite nicely. On to the Unova region next with our next mythical Pokemon in Meloetta. Melo gets very much so outclassed and outshined by its fellow mythical Pokemon of the region like Victini and Genesect, so we're going to try and make it stand out a bit more. One of Meloetta's coolest attributes and defining features is its two different forms, Aria and Pirouette. The standard base Aria form is a special attacking, normal psychic type with solid Spadef and coverage. The Pirouette form is a physically attacking, speedy, normal, and fighting type. The only issue is it's so hard to utilize the Pirouette form as you have to click its signature move Relic Song in battle first, which not only takes up time but wastes one of your 4 move slots. Our first big change to Meloetta will be to separate these forms so that you can use them independently of one another. Next, let's buff these individual forms. For a normal Psychic Aria form, we'll really only be changing a few things. First up, we're going to give it a punk rock equivalent type ability. Melo's whole thing is that it's a singer, and giving it this boost to its sound-based normal stab would be incredible. Speaking of sound-based normal stab, yes, we're doing it. We gotta give this thing Boom Burst. This, alongside our new punk rock equivalent ability, will make Melo an insane wall breaker with specs, and it still functions well in the roles it would have stepped into previously, like Scarf and Assault Vest. I'm currently struggling on a name for this ability, as I don't think punk rock really fits the vibe that Meloetta gives off. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below. Next up is the Pirouette form. Normal in fighting is an incredible stab combination. It just needs that little chef's kiss to make it a top tier metagame defining threat. First up, we'll be giving it Dancer as an ability. It's not the most broken ability, but it makes sense thematically, and it has some cool niche application, maybe switching it on a Dragon Dance or something of the likes. Next up is the big one though. We're gonna give Melo Victory Dance. For those of you who don't know, Victory Dance is a move exclusive to the Hisuian Lilligant line and is basically a physical quiver dance, boosting up defense, speed, and attack. This would make Meloetta Pirouette a top tier sweeper in my opinion. Once this thing gets rolling, there's probably not much stopping it. Lastly, we're gonna give it Body Slam and Double Edge so it has some usable physical stab outside of Facade. I might have gone a bit crazy with the buffs for Meloetta, but remember, this is a video just for fun. Please don't drag me like in the Noivern video. Plus, you have to remember, we've reached the point of power creep where we have utterly insane Pokemon like Chien-Pao, Chi-Yu, and all the crazy Paradox Pokemon running around with changing their types at will. With that in mind, I really don't think these buffs are too insane. Off to Ultra Space we go with our next Pokemon in Guzzlord. This Pokemon is portrayed as a world-ending and eating threat in the Alola games, and it sort of feels like the final boss of the Ultra Beast. But this was always perplexing to me, as it's by far the worst of all the Ultra Beasts, at least competitively speaking. Let's bring this big fella up to speed. Speaking of speed, that's the first stat we'll be buffing. It sounds crazy to buff the big glutton speed, but it's only by just a bit, just 10 more. It'll move it up to base 53 speed, allowing to it speed a lot more bulky and passive Pokemon with base 50 or even 60 speed with just a bit of investment, punishing them and hitting them hard. Speaking of more bulk, man, I am killing it with the segues today. We're also going to add 20 to its defense and Spadef, bridging the gap between its HP and bulk a bit. Don't worry, these new stat totals are all still prime numbers just like all the other Ultra Beasts are. Lastly, all Guzz needs is a little bit of a move pool buff. When it comes to status moves, we're going to give our Glutton Slack Off for more survivability and recovery, and Bulk Up to boost its attack and defense. The combination of these two moves will make Guzz an offensive and defensive juggernaut. Then we're going to add Poison Jab to its physical move pool. It already has Sludge Bomb Wave on the special side, and this is just another option to hit fairies outside of the very volatile Heavy Slam, though that'll likely be the better option most of the time. Finally, I figured we should give him Snap Trap, which is a low base power, trapping grass move exclusive to the Glaring Sunfisk line. Not the best move in any way, but it's more of a thematic add, so why not? We're going to finish it off with the Galar region and a newly added legendary in Cali Rex. The focus of the Chrome Tundra DLC, this Pokemon becomes incredible when combined with either Glastrier or Spectrier, but on its own, it might be the single worst legendary of all time, behind the obvious pick in Regigigas. And even then, it's pretty darn close. I want to try to make Cali Rex's own usable standalone Pokemon. Our first change will be to nerf its stats? Hold on, that can't be. Oh, I see now. We're going to be dropping its base speed by a whopping base 40 points. Stick with me, it'll all make sense in just a second. This gives us a little bit of wiggle room. And by that, I mean a lot of wiggle room. We're going to shoot its special attack by the same exact amount by base 40. This new stat distribution with 120 special attack and 40 speed makes Cali an incredible Trick Room setter and sweeper, provided we fix his move pool, which we'll do right now. We're going to add Synthesis. By the way, I have no idea why I lacked this move before. It genuinely makes no sense. As well as Nasty Plot and Earth Power. Earth Power in particular will be great for it offensively. Lastly, we'll be changing its ability from Unnerve to Psychic Terrain. I know this makes Ice Rider and Shadow Rider objectively, insanely, astronomically broken, particularly in doubles. But one, these are already broken Ubers and singles that I don't use anyways due to not being allowed to. And two, I really don't care about the doubles balance. I'm sorry, VGC guys. See, this is revenge for all the singles Pokemon that got wrecked due to VGC balance patches. This one's for my boy Rillaboom. Back on the topic of Psychic Terrain, it'll not only make Cali Rex stronger, but protect your Trick Room build from priority, hopefully making Cali Rex a centerpiece of these kinds of teams. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fixing Your Favorites. I figured it'd be fun to do a legendary specific episode, but honestly, I was looking at the legends. I could definitely do another legendary specific episode down the line, so let me know which ones you want to see next in the next legendary video, as well as just regular Pokemon, because next episode is definitely going to be just a regular Fixing Your Favorites episode with regular Pokemon and things like that. So please, 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 even if you've commented a million times before, I need you to comment it. I will forget about it if it's on 8 videos ago and you're like, wait, why haven't you done Hergader, my favorite Pokemon? Because I forgot it was suggested to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you think I went a bit overboard with Meloetta. I know I went overboard with Cali Rex when it comes to the doubles forms, or the rider forms, but again, this is for fun, and I don't care about doubles balance. Eat your heart out, VGC guys. Alrighty, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed, sub. If you're new, drop a like. If you're new, sub. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.